Hello, my name is Thomas Morelli, and I'll be the moderator today for our webinar. Thank you for joining us. Our webinar today is entitled Introducing Panzura CloudFS 8.7. CloudFS 8.7 is the latest version of the CloudFS hybrid cloud file platform, and it's out in GA today. I'm here with Mike Zolla, Vice President of Technical Strategy, and Darrin Chapman, Senior Director of Product Marketing at Panzura. Welcome, Mike and Darrin. During this webinar, you can ask questions using the chat box, and we will do our best to answer them in the time we have. If we do not get to your question, we will follow up in email. You will learn how CloudFS 8.7 reduces operational overhead, eliminates vendor support dependencies, creates a single source of truth, and lays the architectural groundwork for agentic AI workflows without costly infrastructure overhauls or rip and replace migrations. Gentlemen, let's begin. Darrin, tell us more about what we'll be covering today.
Thanks, Thomas. So today we're going to touch on a number of topics, but primarily we're talking about our newest operating system for CloudFS, platform called 8.7, which basically we're returning control to the IT teams. We're empowering the cloud admins, right? And it prepares decades of project knowledge for AI-driven intelligence. Every capability in 8.7, our newest release, is an architectural prerequisite for agentic AI, and it removes a structural barrier between an organization's file data and the AI workloads that can operationalize it.
Thank you, Darrin. Mike, as demand for AI workloads grows and evolves, how is CloudFS advancing to keep customers ahead of the challenges?
Thomas, that's a great question. I mean, if you look at where we are, right? Customers love us for being really the only true global namespace that can give local performance while still, remaining read-write around the world at edge devices, right? So that's kind of where we started. If we look at where we're going and what we have, right, we're keeping all of that intact. And that's really laying the groundwork for this transition, right, from a passive storage tier into this enhancing or accelerated architecture that's going to enable us the ability to enable AI agentic workloads. Parts of this release are going to allow us to align with this concept of data gravity, with operational responsibility. This will ensure that our data plane is primed for the performance and security demands of AI indexing agentic workloads for like edge devices while we're maintaining, still keeping that global collaboration. I think the success of this release that you'll see is what we're really going to do is increase the ROI for our customer ecosystem. And their cloud admins, mainly, right? The people that are running these things, more autonomy than ever before while setting this guide path towards agentic AI workflows. I could talk about this all day, but Darrin, why don't you jump in, right, and just start talking about some of the features that are in this release that are going to be really impactful to our customers.
Hey, thanks, Mike. And just like you, I could talk about this all day as well. So let's start out, though. Let's drill into the features. Let's peel it back one layer, talk about the actual focus areas for 8.7. So the first focus area for us was a reduction in metadata, focus using a feature that we refer to as adaptive snapshot retention. So a little about that. So traditional static schedules are replaced by node-specific snapshot policies that intelligently reduce the global metadata burden. This optimization is a virtual prerequisite for the advanced storage tiering required by AI indexing workloads. What I mean by that is we're essentially providing role-based retention. So your file owner nodes, basically in the core of your data lake, preserve full version history to satisfy compliance, recovery mandates closer to the core of your data estate. Your data consumer nodes out on the edge, they retain only the active working set needed for high performance collab closer to the edge of your data. Essentially, the edge nodes can set a much shorter snapshot retention policy geared specifically towards optimizing access and reducing metadata. Metadata growth is slowed by reducing metadata at these edge sites and these edge nodes. And of course, the overall impact is essentially less metadata bloat, less cache pressure, lower infrastructure costs decrease as deployments grow, for firms scaling across multiple offices and different sites. So additionally, there's some relevance regarding agentic AI. Mike had mentioned agentic AI previously. Agentic workflows require low latency access to govern data at the edge. Adaptive snapshot retention creates this lean tiered data topology that AI agents basically need. For firms delivering agentic AI at the edge, infrastructure costs decrease as the deployments grow. Mike, how does this solve the pain points you're hearing from your customers and the people you've been speaking with out in the field?
So, Darrin, when we talk about snapshot retention and management, right? A lot of people look at this and it's like, oh, it's not sexy. It's not what it is. If you actually step back for a minute, right, and think about like a real global namespace, the reason we do what we do and we can do it globally is because that metadata is everywhere, right? It has to be the same in every node, right, to be able to get us to a spot where we can actually truly disperse and use files and collaborate across the globe on the exact same data set. What we're doing here is taking this leap forward, right? Of I don't want to break the structure of the global namespace, but maybe in some cases, I'm keeping data for like 5, 15, 20 years, like I'm building buildings and I got to keep those models, right? If I step back from that and I think of that, am I going to be working and collaborating on all those models for 15 years? I may need them intermittently, and sometimes I might not need every version history of that model that we worked on for 15 years ago. So what this is going to do is I'm going to now keep all that data in the global file system. But then when I deploy these nodes out to the edge, maybe it's a new site and it's only got 7 people in it. And maybe they don't need all the metadata for the whole global file system at that site. Maybe they just need the active data, right? This is going to give us that capability to push that data to them where they need it, still allow them to collaborate on that data, but I've never actually removed the data from the core. What this allows me to do is it reduces my footprint cost to deploy a new site where I may only have a couple people working on a small part of my business. I can push all of their data and snapshots out to them so that they have full access. They can collaborate around the world, but I don't actually have to have all the other components within that global file system at every location. So for a lot of our customers looking at satellite offices and thinking about how much footprint is going to be needed, this is a real leap forward to bring that cost down, bring down that footprint, and allow for access to the older data by all end users where they need it.
I love this. It's no longer a one-to-one mapping, right? So those edge offices, edge sites, as you bring on new sites, remote sites, satellite sites, job sites, you don't necessarily have to have that fully synced retention policy anymore, right? Depending on, you mentioned, depending on the size of those remote sites, you can decrease that history of retention or snapshots that we maintain quite significantly. So thanks. I appreciate that, Mike. So let's get to the next big strategic focus area for 8.7. The next focus area is a focus on self-service administration. So in 8.7, we help eliminate the support ticket bottleneck. We basically give IT teams direct operational control through a suite of self-service tools designed for AI-driven infrastructures. There's a few features within this self-service administration focus, right? The first being something we refer to as file lock release. It essentially resolves the file locks from offline users, stale users, users that have left files locked, and those are still locked. We need to actually unlock those so we can actually allow the end user, the customer, the cloud admin to go in without opening a ticket, without contacting support. They can actually, on their own, go in minutes, not hours, and reclaim files via the web UI in a single, or they can do a batch mode across master or subordinates nodes. Secondly, again, part of the self-service administration, there's a feature known as pre-warm provisioning. We've provided the customer now with the ability to move from zero to productive instantly. When a firm wants a new project and a new market, this allows for an on-demand data hydration from the cloud to the local node, ensuring that the full data set is ready on day 1, not day 2, day 3, and beyond. So reducing wait times with new projects, nodes, etc. And then lastly, within the self-service administration focus, we've included something, basically health check diagnostics. So health check is a proactive tool that runs in the background. You can either manually or automatically or schedule health check to run. You're going to get a pass-fail report after each run, and you're also going to get a report and a remediation suggestion from the tool. It's a one-click diagnostic suite. It scans hardware, connectivity, AD Active Directory, Cloud I/O. It provides a pass-fail, as I mentioned before. It reduces dependence on external support. And there's a minimum of 25 different checks that are being performed by this tool that could be launched manually or, as I mentioned before, scheduled. So it proactively stay in front of your issues with your deployment.
Darrin, sorry to interrupt
yep.
you, but we have a question from the audience.
Okay.
How does self-service administration impact agentic systems?
Thanks, Thomas. I appreciate that. There is an agentic AI relevance here as well. So agentic systems can't wait for us. We keep talking about reducing the amount of times that the customer has to open a ticket and contact support, right? Allow the customer to empower the customer to be able to do those things themselves without opening a ticket. So these agentic systems, they can't wait for a support ticket. Every manual bottleneck is a point where an autonomous workflow stalls. We can't afford that when it comes to AI workflows. So self-service tools are a prerequisite foundation for agentic AI workflows. And with that, I'll keep rolling forward unless, Thomas, you have any other questions from the audience.
Nothing so far. Please go ahead and go ahead.
All right, thanks, Thomas. The next focus area for us is going to be on increased visibility and security. So another focus area for us is user behavior intelligence, or as commonly known as UBI. It's a native AI-powered threat control, which now includes within our newest platform, a profile visualization for identifying anomalies before an incident occurs. So you can see an anomaly based on graphic activity. You can see a spike in activity. You might have a sort of an average everyday user type of approach that you see with different users. You're going to have sort of an average what they do on an average day. You see spikes, you see abnormal types of activity, especially. We're going to pick up on that. It's native AI powered. And we're actually going to respond to it. We're going to report on it. And we're going to expose more project data to AI workloads. We've also streamlined investigations and expanded our security information and events management, SIEM, integration. Teams can now filter searches by data owner and sync security logs directly with SIEMs, including Splunk Cloud. Of course, what is you've heard Mike and I talk about it over and over, but what is the agentic AI relevance? The best way to think about this is exposing decades of project data to AI workloads dramatically expands the attack surface and the blast radius of an anomalous behavior. This is the security posture that must be in place before organizations can responsibly let any AI agents operate on any sensitive intellectual property. Mike, these new capabilities, my man, came straight from the field, from customer feedback. Could you elaborate a little on what customers are trying to accomplish?
Darrin, you just went through a lot there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff here, right? So let's take them. I'll touch on a couple of them, right? I don't want to go through all of them, but like file locking for us. Okay, when you think about file locking, imagine for a minute you're working on a building or something like that, and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You go home, right? You've locked that file because you've got to close out of that file. But maybe you went on vacation. Okay, and now you've left from Friday to the next week, but the rest of the people that need the subcomponents of that file and they want to work on it while you're gone don't have access. Okay, if you roll back to before this release, I could call IT support and get my administrator at my company, not Panzura, but whoever's administering the system, to go ahead and unlock that file for you. That's great, right? But now with this release, I'm going to give end users the capability to release locks on files that they know are locked, right? With certain permissions, with certain capabilities. That's going to speed up my day. I don't like calling support, as you know. It just gives me that flexibility to keep moving forward with my work. What it also does is, say in the event that you're running a system that has locks on it, and imagine for a minute you lost power to a data center. Now I might have millions of files that were locked by that node because that office people were working on it. They're now going to go to the Starbucks, or they're going to go somewhere else, and they're going to continue working on their data. but they're all those files are now locked by the node that went down. This is now going to give the administrators this global unlock capability to be able to free up those locks across the node that we know is bad, right? And they'll be able to now continue to keep doing their work without having to do any remediation after the fact. Okay, so that's big. Okay, this pre-warm component that you kind of touched on, this one is going to help with a lot of things moving forward. So imagine for a minute, I know that we now have a project that we're working on globally. Maybe it's the Olympics. We just went through the Olympics, right? So, hey, we got the Olympics going on. We're working on an ad campaign. We're going to be throwing in media information into a folder that we're going to want to send all over the world, but they're going to be using different graphics and different people based upon the country that it's in. But I want one infographic that everybody's working off of. This allows me the capability that as I throw that data into a folder, I'm going to pre-warm the data before people actually request it at those edge sites. So they're all getting local performance of the new content, even though it's the first time they're ever opening it in that country. So it's a real easy way for us to start moving this data around. Health checks, that's big from an operations perspective. Imagine we have a lot of customers here that have been with us since the beginning of time of this company, right? So 14, 15 years. Now, obviously, technology has shifted over that 14, 15 years, and we've gotten to this point where now technology is like taking over and things are changing and there's different levels and there's different best practices, right? Because as technology changes, there's new best practices. What's now happened is now we always had this ability in support to like a customer open a ticket, hey, give me a health check of my system, and we'd work with you with TAMs and PS and support to fix it. We're now giving this capability to the end user. If I'm a good admin and I want to make sure I'm always running the latest and greatest and up to speed and running best practices, this health check is going to help me do that whenever I want to, right? And this last one, this UBI that you touched on, this user-based intelligence, the value to this is more than just a security visibility capability, right? We're building these personas based on every individual user. What that's going to allow us to do is not just, which we have to go into the SIEM environments, right? We got to push things up there that we log, and that's normal. What UBI is doing for us is not just logging security events. We're going to be able to act on security events, right? So now if we start having a rogue user, I can lock them out right away. Don't let them do any more damage to the system. And since we do those snapshots every 60 seconds, I could actually roll back any data that I needed to as an admin once that user's been locked out. So there's a lot of really good things that are coming in this that are going to be very impactful, that it came, as you said, straight from our customers saying, hey, this stuff's really cool, but I wish I could do this, or this. I hope from hearing this, our existing customers that are out there right now are seeing this going, wow, this is exactly what we've been asking for.
Absolutely. You know, you got me excited about the pre-warm thing, right? You mentioned the fact that new departments, new users, new nodes, whatever it might be, we can pre-hydrate those systems and cache so that it comes up quickly. Think about local HA failover, right? We can go ahead and sort of prep a new node so that when there's no wait, there's not as much of a wait time. So that's really cool, actually, at the end of the day. As if that wasn't enough, I'm going to go ahead and touch on one more big item, and then Mike and I are going to be able to, after Thomas recaps, we're going to answer a couple questions from the audience. But a fourth and final focus for us in 8.7 is managed capacity optimization. So essentially, our platform now intelligently balances local cache performance with cloud storage efficiency, basically to minimize your total cost of ownership. In essence, this is intelligent local management of the system where 8.7, CloudFS 8.7, automates the cleanup of any obsolete file paths or stub files after you've transitioned or moved nodes or moved users and so on and so forth. They may linger after ownership transfers or data moves. In return, we enable more accurate reporting. So by eliminating these additional metadata files, this additional overhead, 8.7 essentially goes in and removes managed capacity sooner than we have in the past. So basically, it's an approach of what you see is what you use. This ensures that your storage metrics reflect actual usable data. It's allowing for more precise budget forecasting. It allows for more in terms of prevention of over provisioning of cloud resources. Those are huge, and there's an overall impact here as well with the optimization. It's a total measurable reduction in the TCO, and at the end of the day, it's an increase in your ROI. And as usual, as we've mentioned multiple times today, there is a focus on agentic AI. So AI can bring great value, but without proactive governance and controls like this, it also requires an enhanced data governance posture. So automatic reclamation, accurate capacity reporting ensures agentic systems operate on clean, governed data. Mike, this is a huge deal for customers. I happen to know this. So you care to elaborate a little more for us?
Yeah, Darren. I mean, look, if you think about managed capacity, it's a really big deal for administrators, right?
Yep.
End users, they're never going to see this feature, right? Like everything's going to function as it always has, right? I think the biggest thing that you get out of this is that admins are going to now see metadata usage go down a little bit, right? And it's mainly because we're being more efficient with how fast we can clean these up, kind of pinpoint these changes and remove the things that are no longer needed faster, right? So it's not like we're doing anything different. It's more that we're being more efficient in how we do it, right? And that efficiency now is going to give you a better overall experience in that metadata bloat kind of category. But really,
Yep.
when you have high change rates, this is going to now really help reduce and keep that metadata portion extremely efficient. And it's going to, as you said, once I get efficient from the metadata, that financial reporting that I'm going to get monthly or yearly or start projecting out when I'm doing my budget forecast, it's going to become a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Mike, at this point, as Darrin mentioned, let's recap for the audience the business and IT results you can achieve with CloudFS 8.7. Incidentally, this dovetails really nicely from a question that we just got from an audience member asking about what are the most important takeaways for 8.7.
Yeah, so, well, I hope you take away from this. And if you didn't, Darrin and I won't have jobs, right? Because we didn't do our job here. But if you think about it, right, we're building on something that's already a pretty solid foundation, right? And what we're doing is we're aligning that foundation with your new move towards this agentic AI driven future, right? We are setting that framework down, cleaning up everything that we're doing in house, optimizing what we're actually doing in the infrastructure, right? As we optimize the infrastructure, meaning the metadata snapshots where they're needed most, right? Creating a platform where customers drive the service that they want to offer, right? And by driving that service like end user first, right? And really optimizing that human layer, right? If you optimize human behavior, that actually gets us to a spot where we can start enabling that autonomy at the AI layer, right? So understanding those human processes is what we spent a lot of time in 8.7 on. It's going to really set the stage when we start bringing that agentic AI workflow to actually help you speed up that human interaction that you're used to, now giving it to agents to be able to go ahead and drive it forward, right? All of this with a measurable ROI increase. And that increase comes from fewer drives, fewer tickets, and obviously just simpler operations.
Perfect.
Hopefully
Well
that
said,
answers.
Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said. Thank you so much. Darrin, let's hand it over to you. Every platform vendor claims to be AI ready. The difference lies in, as we see it, whether the file platform itself creates and maintains a single source of truth. That's the power of CloudFS. Could you talk briefly about the operational modes of CloudFS and why we see this as so important?
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. Yeah, absolutely. What we're doing here basically is we're gonna go one step deep into the actual CloudFS configuration or the deployment itself. I'll start at a higher level first, Thomas. We're essentially an integrated platform that governs and protects data, right? We're ideally suited for industries like AEC, for sure, manufacturing, and especially project-based industries. We're a single multi-protocol foundation that eliminates data storage silos. It ensures security universally, visibility across an entire global data footprint via a global namespace. And you mentioned, Thomas, that single source of truth. Absolutely. That's what we're providing here. So let's drill in a couple layers below that outer layer. There are three modes to think about within CloudFS, okay, in a CloudFS environment. First is the simplest version we refer to as a single site NAS, essentially. For long-term storage, cold data retention with cloud scale types of economics. That's our first layer, again, single site NAS configuration. Secondly, if you take it up at the next level, we have a second mode. It's referred to as multi-site NAS, which is essentially regional file sharing with an active archive and retention visibility, controlled write modes when sharing files across sites. So we do some things with writes when you're sharing the same file across multiple sites, and we control it that way in terms of shared files. But again, it's multi-site NAS at that point. Our third, and of course, sort of our Cadillac mode is what I would call it, is our true collab mode, our collaboration mode. It's a real-time global engineering with file level and byte level locking capabilities, and of course, instant synchronization across all the sites. Every time someone's accessing or pulling down a file or accessing a file period, it looks and feels as if it were a local access. That's the beauty of the actual third true collaboration mode. These modes are distinct and obviously they're additive. Each provides an additional capability as you go to the next. So applied at the project level within a deployment, completed work sits in archive while active projects run in full collaboration. You can mix and match and so on and so forth. Just another focus on our CloudFS advantages. Again, if we peel it back a little bit and we go up a level, a few of our CloudFS advantages include multi-protocol, as we've mentioned, infrastructure, NFS, SMB, of course, S3, that eliminates data silos. So we're not having to basically allocate different file types across different silos. We can mix and match. We have a unified approach to that. Another advantage is operational integrity. CloudFS ensures workflow continuity and prevents data conflicts during concurrent operations. We also offer sort of an agility. CloudFS delivers infrastructure independence with universal security across your entire global footprint. So at the end of the day, CloudFS makes all this possible by consolidating project files, metadata, version history. Again, we talk about the adaptive snapshot retention into a single governed namespace. Again, for AI pipelines can reach those. So no separate data lakes, no migration projects to move from one to the other, no integration piece or middleware or any other software that needs to be involved. What are your thoughts on this, Mike? There's some real advantages here of our multi-mode model that we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's funny, Darrin. We've both been in this industry for a long time, right? So when I look at this, I've been in a lot of different storage places. I'm not going to name them here, but if we go back in time, you usually had a product for each one of these, right? You'd come out with a SKU number and you'd have this thing you deploy and you'd go ahead and move forward. The thing that you can take from this is we're using the same architecture, right? If you go back and you look at the single site NAS, really that if you think about it, that's like the bare metal of CloudFS, right? Yep. It's like, hey, I have a node and 10% of my file system to 20% is really active. And like the remaining 80 to 90% isn't. But I need performance on that active tier. So I'm going to go ahead and give it high performance, but I don't want a high performance for all 100% of that file system. So that single site NAS, what it's really doing is it's saying, hey, I'm going to give you what you need, and I'll allow you to reduce your total cost of ownership by putting the stuff that's not being used in an object store, right? And be able to tier that down to a spot where now it's cost effective for you as you're using things. But that's like generic NAS 101, right? This multi-site NAS is where, to me, it starts to get a little interesting. You got this capability where you have one node in, I'll call it a ring, that's active, meaning I have rewrite access to the file system here in Boston. I'm in Boston, right? And you're in North Carolina. you could use single site NAS and you could come over to Boston to grab your file from me to read it and report on what I'm doing and look at all the data I'm collecting because maybe I'm a scientist or whatever and I'm doing stuff, right? Your performance is going to be pretty bad, right? You're going to go from you to me.
Yep.
As I start to become more dispersed, maybe I want to put a read-only node in North Carolina where you are, right? Now you can read with local performance to go extremely, extremely fast, but I can read and write over here and I have my same performance. So I haven't really moved anything. So that's like the next tier up, built off of that same first single site NAS. Now when I want true collaboration and we're both working on the same dock at the same time, that's where the magic happens, where everything's read-write in all locations. And now we're actually doing true collaboration, where you're working on something that's local to you, I'm working on something that's local to me, and we're actually working on the exact same thing. Like, to me, that's why we excel. So these three modes, yeah, they build on each other. The true collaboration's the Cadillac, right, as you stated.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, every customer has a different use case.
Exactly.
Right? If I'm not collaborating, I don't want true collab. I just might need multi-site NAS.
Yep.
Right? And we give you that flexibility to kind of drive what you want out of the platform to be able to get to where you need to be.
Thank you, Mike. Gentlemen, let's answer some questions from the audience with our remaining time. Audience question: with the GA of CloudFS 8.7 today, how are we making it easier for firms to clean up that data debt and actually prepare metadata for the AI workloads we've been discussing? Darrin, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, Thomas, I'll take that one. I'll give it a shot. So, all right. So basically, we're helping by controlling the data mass, right? The growth. Therefore, if we're controlling the data mass, the data growth, the explosion of data, especially in unstructured data, therefore the data gravity, we're removing unnecessary metadata. We're allowing edge nodes to hold less history than the core nodes. The end result is a more efficient system, right? A more scalable system. If you have more efficiency, more scalability, you're reducing the amount of infrastructure in terms of SSDs, cache, et cetera, that you need to add to these nodes. You're reducing TCO. And if you're reducing TCO, you're increasing ROI and everybody's happy. So yeah, absolutely. This release actually helps us tremendously.
Very good. Mike, here's one for you. I'll read the question. Are you able to meet with customers that are not quite ready for agentic today? I'm thinking what they mean is, how does Panzura meet customers while they are in that journey towards agentic AI?
Yeah, so it's a great question. If you step back and think about it, some customers I meet with today are going down this path of they've already modeled their data. They already kind of know exactly what their data types look like, and they already know what they want to get out of AI, right? How they want to apply AI to their data. And they're at this spot right now where they're like coming to us and we're helping them make these data sets AI ready, right? We're there, right? We're doing this with them. Now, some of our other customers, they're starting to hear the CIO and other people say, hey, we need to get on this AI bus. Like, what are we going to do? They don't have a plan yet, right? So if you step back to that level, now we're going to look at this and say, hey, maybe we're not AI ready yet. But I can tell you, as you put the data into our platform, the way we are going ahead and looking at the ACLs associated with that data, as we're looking at your management of permissions and so on in that data, regardless of which tier of those multiple tiers we were talking about earlier that you're coming into, we're making your data AI ready. And we're going to get it to a spot that when you do know where you want to go or what you want to provide insights into your data, we're ready to help you on that journey. You don't have to do anything today, right? I guess the value is we're already doing that for you as it comes into CloudFS. We're going to fine tune it once you understand what we want to unlock from an agentic or an AI workflow perspective that's going to allow your jobs to become easier and accelerate your offerings to your customers.
Very good. Gentlemen, we're at the end of our time today. Thank you for everyone who has joined us. I want to thank Mike and Darrin especially. If you are unable to get an answer to your question, we will follow up in email. Your questions are very important to us. If you want to learn more about CloudFS 8.7, we encourage you to check out the CloudFS 8.7 press announcement on our website newsroom section. You can also read several new blogs that we posted today to get a deeper dive. Most of all, we encourage you to go to panzura.com/demo to schedule a demo with a Panzura expert and get a complimentary assessment of your environment and your specific needs. For existing customers, please get in touch with your customer success manager. Thank you again. That concludes our webinar.